In this video I'm going to be showing you a very simple implementation of Cloud Firestore in Flutter, where the user selects their option and the percentage of users who also chose the same is shown on the screen. As you can see here, this figure is calculated from the Cloud Firestore database, which can be seen here. Okay, so here we just got a very simple template version of the app where they can either press yes or no, but it just 100% is just there hard coded, so there's no actual calculation done. Both buttons, when they press them, it directs the user to the same route, which is just the secondary screen here. Everything is in a stateless widget because it's not a complex application. Again, if you don't know how to do this, then you need to just learn the basics of Flutter first before watching this video. But the first thing that we're going to do is we need to create a static class to actually keep a record of what the user has actually chosen, so whether they've chosen yes or no. So we're going to create static integer, call it, choice, call it why not 0, and then we'll say static set yes, set choice equals 0, and then set no, choice equals 1, so we'll be using the numbers 0 and 1 to represent yes or no. And then so we need to create a get method, so get choice, return choice. Okay, now we need to import it here in the main Dart file, and then we'll need to say, so when they press the yes button, we'll say selection choice dot set yes, and then likewise for the other button we'll need to say selection choice dot set no. Okay, now that we've done that, we can actually start to set up the Firebase. So go to Firebase console, click add project, and this project name, well, what have we called the project? We've called it a percentage calculator, so why not we'll just call the project name percentage calculator here. We don't need to enable that because there's no point, and then we'll just wait for this, but currently I'm going to pause the video so you don't have to wait. Okay, now that the project's loaded, we can press continue. And now we need to start with Android, because it's an Android tutorial. We need to put in our Android package name, which can be found in the app level build.gradle file. So you can find it here. Register the app. And main SDK version, I found that it actually causes errors if you leave that at 16, so we're going to change that to 23. Now that file that we're about to download, it needs to go in here. The app file. So we'll just copy that. And save it in there for efficiency. Okay, so we saved it in there. Okay, now you need to check in the project level build.gradle file, you need to check that you actually have these lines. But you should already have them, so the only one that we really need to copy is this line here. Now that's in the project level, so we'll paste it there. Let's click save. Actually, whilst we're doing this, we need to close down the emulator, because otherwise it could cause problems. So yeah, we're just going to close that down, just ignore that. Close that for now, hit save. and then we need to add these lines in the app level build.gradle file. So you can hit copy. It goes there. This one goes here. Again, hit save. Okay, hit next. We go to console. Now we'll actually set up the database. So create a database after going to Cloud Firestore. Starting test mode because we don't need security rules at the moment because nobody knows about our current application. You don't have to change that. Now we're just going to wait for the database to set up, so I'm going to pause the video again. Okay, now that the database has been created, we're going to create the collection. We'll call it selection. Document ID, we can click auto because it's going to be auto anyway. When we actually create the documents in Flutter, field, we'll call it choice. We'll use 0 to represent yes. Remember, yeah, we'll just use that as as sort of a dummy document. But now we actually need to implement Firebase core, which is this is the essential dependency that you need for all of the Cloud Firestore services. So we'll add it into the Pubspec.yaml, and whilst we're at it, we'll add this as well, which is the other one that we need, Cloud Firestore, to actually read and write to the database. Hit save, pub.get. And then now we want to click get dependencies. Okay, now we'll need to copy the import string of Firebase core, and we'll need to initialize Firebase core. So the way that we do that in the main method, which is the method that starts the application. Turn that into an async method, and then first of all we need to do widgets footer binding dot ensure initialized. We need to do that first before we initialize Firebase core, and then we'll say wait. So wait for Firebase core. Yeah, so wait to initialize the app before we actually run the app. And what we need to do now is actually we need to copy the Cloud Firestore string. So we're going to do this now. Put it there. Go to. So currently we've got a separate stateless widget to hold the two buttons in a row widget, which is how we displayed the buttons horizontally. We're going to create a new final variable. Go to Firestore equal to Firebase Firestore.instance. And then below this we're going to say underscore Firestore.collection. In the parentheses we're going to put in the string name of the collection name. So we call it selection. Add, put in a map here. So we called the field choice, and the value in this instance will be 0. We'll do the same for the no button. Only the only difference is we'll add 1 instead. Okay, now we're going to save this. Now this is essential. Before we continue, we need to actually test to see that everything's working correctly, because you could get errors when you restart the app now. So we're just going to test to see if we get any errors. I'm going to pause the video until it's loaded. Okay, so the app has started. I have got some notes here, but the app started fine, so it's not a critical error or anything like that. We're just going to click, as an example, no, and then we'll see. Yeah, so it's working now. So this just added this 1, and we'll do it again just to make sure. So it should have 2 ones once we've done this. So no again. Yep, so 3 documents in total now. Yeah, and that's the first stage done. So we've actually written data to the collection as a document. that's good. We're gonna stop this now because we're gonna start the second part now, which is actually calculating the percentage based off of the previous user choices. Okay, so the first step would be to actually take this widget out, so the text, because at the moment it's just hard-coded 100%, so there's no calculation going on. We're just going to take this out of the column, paste it here just for reference, because we will need it later. We'll just comment it out so to remove the errors. And we'll replace that, in its place we'll go Stream Builder widget. This widget will be activated every time there's a change to the collection's data. And we'll link it up with the Firebase collection using its stream property. So in here, actually first of all we need to require not the Firebase core but the Cloud Firestore. Require that. And then like what we did in this widget here, we'll just copy this actually just for ease. And then so we'll say underscore firestore dot collection. We'll call it, what was it again? Oh, whoops. Okay, so name was selection. And then we'll say snapshot. And because we're returning the query snapshots, we actually need to specify in I think the whichever one that it's actually going to be dealing with query snapshot. That. And then we'll need to set the builder property. Inside the builder property, we'll go anonymous function with context and snapshot as the argument. Context is basically so the children of the builder knows where it is in the widget tree. And then we're going to create an if statement here. So if snapshot dot has data, so if it actually can retrieve data from the collection, which it should at the moment because documents are loaded there. But if that isn't the case, then we'll say return. This anonymous function needs to return a widget, which is the reason why it's got this underline, this greenish sort of underline to it. We'll say return cyclist progress indicator to show that it's waiting to return the data, which should be there. Okay, now we need to get the documents from the snapshot argument, and the way that we do that is in these brackets. We're going to say final data equals snapshot.data doc. We're also going to create two other variables. We'll just call them int match, set it to equal 0, int percentage. The reason why we're setting them both to 0 is because we want the calculation to start from scratch each time there's a new piece of data, because otherwise if we don't do this it's just going to mess everything up. And then we're going to create a nested if statement. So if, actually wait, so what we need to do now is we need to import the selection choice actually. Because we need to access this static class now. So if selection choice dot get choice equals to 0. In other words, if they've chosen yes, then we'll create a for in loop. So we'll say, I don't know, var single data in data, because remember this just returns a list of the documents, but we need to access each document and see whether that single document has got 0 as its value for its a choice field or not. So we'll say we'll just do ternary now, because otherwise it'll be too messy. So we'll say single data method to access the document's content, and then choice, because that was the name of the field. So date's equal to 0. Then we'll say match, increment that by 1. If not, then we'll just say match plus equals 0, so basically nothing. So nothing's added to match. Okay, now we need to create the else to this. Nested. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Else to this nested if statement, not the for loop. Yeah, we'll do the same. Loop. Just with so basically, in this else block, this else block be activated if the selection choice was 1. So in other words, they pressed no. So we'll need to basically do similar sorts of things. So yeah, just copy this actually. The only difference is, so 1, because they chose 1. So in other words, you know, how many other users chose the same as them. So 1, or in other words, no. And then, yeah, so below all of these, this nested if statement, we're going to calculate the percentage. So we'll say percentage equals, we need to do this in 2 parentheses, match divided by data dot length, and then we'll say times 100, dot round. So it's an integer, not a double, because percentage is an integer. And data dot length, because that's the number of documents that's actually contained in the collection. And then finally, we'll need to return something that's similar to this. The only difference is it actually shows the calculation, so we'll just copy this. I know it's a bit ugly, but we'll just get rid of these. Put semicolon there, because it's actually in the method now. And then we'll go to code, reformat code, so it's actually displayed properly. And then instead of this, we'll say string interpolation represented by $, percentage, and we'll save now. And it's all going well. I mean, it should work. We'll see. We'll just run this and wait for it to load. I'll pause the video. Okay, so it's loaded up now, and we'll say no. 75%. Oh yeah, just ignore the 100%. That's probably just some cache data. Actually no. Oh yeah, because it's waiting for the yeah, it's showing that. It's because the calculation hasn't completed. Hasn't finished complete. It's displayed the text widget before the calculation's finished complete. There is a way to fix that, but we're not going to cover it here because it would be too long. But as you could see, so what do we press? We press no. So there's currently 4 documents. 3 of them are no. Only 1 of them is yes. So yeah, 75% makes perfect sense. And then 4. Yeah, so if we press yes 2 more times, it should be 50%. So we'll just try this now. now. So we press yes once, and then yeah, 50%. So yeah, that's just a quick demonstration. And as you can, there's 2 more documents now, both of them are 0. So that just shows that this is working. Yeah, and it's, so I'll press yes one more time. Yeah, and it is working. We're not getting that 100% error anymore, that's gone. And yeah, again, this is just a very simple implementation. Obviously, I don't expect you to copy this exact thing. It's just an example to show you how you would implement Firebase core, Cloud Firestore. And yeah, if you have any queries, then don't hesitate to post them in the comments. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. And yeah, peace out, guys. Hope this helped.